with our Community Voices show. I am your host, Denise, and in the house is your co-host, the pastor, Tony Orr, who will greet us in just a moment. But first, we want to make sure that you know how appreciative we are that you have joined us in this space. We realize and we recognize that you could be listening to anything else. You could be watching, you could be listening, you could be spending your time with anybody else, but you have chosen to be here with KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice and of the people, and for that, we are grateful. So thank you so much for your support, your presence, your calls. The phone lines absolutely are open at 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. And we just want to say thank you for all of the ways that you support us. You support us with your finances, and you also support us with your calls. You support us with your presence at communities, in community spaces. You support us when you reach out to me, call me on the phone and tell me what you did not like that I said. You call me on the phone and tell me what you did like that I said. You call me on the phone to invite me to your spaces, and you call me on the phone to thank me for things that we do in the for organizing things that you attend. So we are just so grateful for your support, and we always want to start every single one of our shows letting you know how much we appreciate you, and we appreciate you in the spirit of Sawubona. And so we greet you with that Zulu tribal greeting this morning, which means hello on its face. It's a greeting, and so it invites you into conversation by acknowledging your presence in the space. But then it's deeper than that, because it also recognizes the interconnectedness of our humanity, that there's nothing you can do or say that can separate you from me as it relates to the bond of humanity. And so when we begin to think about the oneness that is created by that bond, how will we then respond to each other? How will we then relate to each other? What choices will we continue to make? What choices will we stop making when we realize they do not work for the whole of humanity? So this is the spirit of oneness that we invite you into this conversation that's rooted in music, soul, child, song, love. We'll be talking about it in just a moment, but I want to make sure first that before I make any announcements, before I give the EJI in the tidbit, that you hear from the pastor. I'm trying to see how many ways I can say, Pastor, Tony, maybe. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Denise. Good morning. You could say just pastor.
Could I just why I can't just say Tony? How about that?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. It is great to be back. I've been visiting all my offices in several states all last week. Just got back yesterday. And it's just great to be back in the studio on the show this morning. And so I'm looking forward to a great show and looking forward for the topic, love.
Do you have any announcements that you need to make?
The only announcement I have right now is that, hey, you do not want to miss the People's Celebration on May 6th at St. Michael's Episcopal Church on Cantrell Avenue. I don't know. I know Denise knows the exact address. And I know somewhere in this in the show she's going to get that information. But you don't want to miss this. It's going to be a great celebration. Not only celebrating the people, but also just the flow and just talk consulting. And so it's going to be a great event. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enthusiastic. But the most important thing is just another way for you to help promote KABF in this way. So looking forward to seeing all of you there.
Thanks for that reminder, Tony. Yes, the People's Celebration, we are super excited. It is 12415 Cantrell Road, that's way down Highway 10 at St. Michael's Episcopal Church. They have come alongside us in partnership to offer space to us as we continue to organize events for the community. And if you are in need of transportation or any sort of assistance in attending the People's Celebration, please hit me up, area code 228-236-7440. Again, that's area code 228-236-7440. More than happy to assist you in any way that we can to make sure that you have your face in the place, because you don't want to miss this event. And there are some other announcements that I would like to make as we get started with our show this morning. One of them is for this Thursday at Philander Smith College. I'm not sure if you are aware, Tony, they used to have this event called Bless the Mic.
Yes, yes, I
Bless the
remember
Mic.
that. I remember that.
So they have the Bless the Mic event, which is coming up on this Thursday at Philander Smith College, and we are inviting all of you to come out and to hear this journalist. It is a Black male journalist. I'm trying to pull up the actual flyer so that I can give you all the information that you need. His name is Terrell Jermaine Starr, and he's an independent journalist based in Brooklyn, New York, and Kiev, Ukraine, covering the Russo. If it's Russia, wouldn't it be Russo?
It'd be Russo.
Russo-Ukrainian War. He is the founder and host of the Black Diplomats podcast, where he covers geopolitical issues. Terrell is also a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. He previously worked at The Root and Foxtrot Alpha, a blog focusing on the military, technology, and policy. And so he will bless the mic on Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. The doors will open at 6:30. You do not have to RSVP. Just show up at the M.L. Harris Auditorium on the campus of Philander Smith College, and you can be a part of the Bless the Mic event. And we look forward to seeing you there. I will be there. This is 2 days from now, so day after tomorrow. Doors open at 6:30. We start at 7 o'clock. Want to make sure that you know that you are welcome in that space. So that's on the 20th. And then on the 29th, I am facilitating a workshop at the intersection of faith and HIV. So we've been talking about the epidemic of HIV all across the world in our nation. But we have an initiative here in Arkansas where we are trying to make sure that we reduce the number of cases by 75% in the year 2025. So we are on our way. And so this conversation is asking us as faithful people, as people who are ministers, as people who are pastors, as people who are priests, as people who are members of congregations, as people who are family of members of congregations, as anyone who is interested in knowing how the body of faith is responding to the epidemic of HIV. We are inviting you into conversation on Saturday, April 29th from 1 to 4 p.m. And it's going to be at 520 East 16th Street. So it's like a couple of blocks over from the studio. And we will be there having that conversation, and you are absolutely invited. Again, if you are interested and need more information, you can hit me up at 228-236-7440. Again, that's 228-236-7440. And then on the 30th, that is the next day, on that Saturday, Legacy Lounge is having an event where if you are a musician, if you are a performer and you want to come out and do your thing, there will be a space created for you. Mahogany is the owner of that, and you are welcome. That is on John Barrow. It's behind the Sims barbecue joint. Starts, I want to say, around 9 or 10 o'clock, and you are invited to come and have your talents on display so that we can enjoy each other through music and through the power of music in that space. Want to let you know again, on May 6th, yes, the People's Celebration happens at 6 p.m., but earlier that morning at 9 a.m., between 9 and 2, the women of the NAACP are hosting a conference about women and mental health issues. And one of the speakers is going to be Ruby Welch. And so we invite you into that space as well. More information, again, you can call me at 228-236-7440. It just seems to me like it's easier to streamline the conversation instead of me giving you all of these different numbers and you guys try to remember. I got all the numbers, I got all the flyers. If you just let me know, you can text me, you can message me, we can make sure that you get that information that you need in order to be informed and to be aware so that you can, I don't really know if I like this phrase, get in where you fit in. Do you like that phrase? I'm not sure I like that phrase. It just, what it means to me and what the reason that I'm using it is to deliver a message that says there is space for you. There is a place for your voice. There is a place for your presence. You are welcome in these places. Your voice will be heard and respected and honored in these places. And we want you to know, because some of us are going through this life, particularly in this social climate, where it doesn't seem like we are welcome. It doesn't seem like we are respected. It doesn't seem like we are celebrated. It doesn't seem like people care what we have to say. But these are spaces for you, curated by folks for you. And we want you to know that they are available. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think going back to the phrase, and you're right, there are spaces created, but there's also spaces where places where people they feel more comfortable going, going to a certain place, and I think that get in where you fit in, whatever fits you, whatever fits your ideas, whatever fits your motivation. You have to find those places and those spaces, and you you can move into that space. And so, when I hear that phrase, that's what I think about.
Yeah, and so I want to make sure that we also get this announcement in because it's happening on Monday. The next class starts on this Monday, April 24th. And so it's important that you apply now. Evening classes from 5 to 9 p.m. daily, and dinner, a meal will be included. If you want free training and certification for an IT help desk support technician with training related to computer security engineering, and you are at least 18 years of age, or you are caring for at least one child under 19, or if you are pregnant, if you are a non-custodial parent of a child under 19, or if you are the head of the household, you can contact dcpinfo@littlerock.gov, 501-399-3420, 501-399-3420. This is presented by the City of Little Rock Department of Community Programs. And so that is another opportunity that is available for you. And again, if you are not able to write all of that down, I give out my number on the regular. I put my number on the feed, area code 228-236-7440. I see you, Keith. Keith has joined us on the web. He's not the only one, but he is the one that has made himself known. So hey, back to you. Keith is a fellow thespian. I want to say fellow, but I haven't been on stage acting in a few years, but Keith is acting right now in our midst. And so we are glad to have you as part of this conversation. And you probably need to come on and give us some information. Let us know what's going on in the area of theater. And having said that, Ozark Living Newspaper, Theater of the Air, of which I am a member of the board, we are editing right now. We are in the editing stages for the Black Love 2 event to get that ready to go live for you. Well, to be aired for you on Sundays at 4 p.m. right here at KBF 88.3 FM. You should already be listening to the Black Love event, the first one from the voices of Black women primarily, and then this one is from the voices of Black men. So KABF is your place to be for all of your listening needs. So we see you, Keith. Thank you so much for showing up with us on today.
And I have this one announcement that just popped up in my email. The March for Black Women and Girls is presented by the Turn, TURN. It's April 22nd at the Dunbar Community Center at 1001 West 16th Street. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's going to be food trucks, vendors, speakers. live DJ, and more. You can go to www.marchforblackwomen.com to find out more information. But that's April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Dunbar Community Center, 1001 West 16th Street.
Can you go get your calendar? Your calendar. So yes, we are going to, you're from the office. We are going to give you the Equal Justice Initiative tidbit it's actually not for today. I actually went through the calendar because I was looking specifically for an event that is rooted in our past that we continue to face in our present so that we can have conversations about how we are going to affect change for our future and the future of our generations. And so it's from actually April the 3rd, and it was in 1911. So on April 3rd in 1911, President William Howard Taft expels an all-Black cavalry unit from San Antonio for protesting racial segregation. Again, on April 3rd in the year 1911, President William Howard Taft expels an all-Black cavalry unit from San Antonio for protesting racial segregation. So how dare you raise up and say anything about the fact that you are being discriminated against, the fact that you are being dehumanized, the fact that you are continuing being treated like you are less than human. How dare you have a voice in protesting our system of white inhumanity? If you do, this is the response from the president, which sets the tone for the are facing these kinds of issues right now that we'll continue to talk about. Let me get this caller in for you. Caller?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, assalamu alaikum. I can't remember that Zulu word.
Sawubona.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I just want to let you know I'm riding with you guys, riding shotgun. Y'all keep continuing on, okay?
Okay. Thank you, caller. Let me say, you can't see me on the web, but I'll let you know. I'm calling in to let you know that I am present with you in this space. And so when I was thinking about this song, Love by Music Soul Child, he has taken this emotion. Hey, Cindy, yay, Bo, says Cindy, which means yes, I accept the invitation into oneness through the spirit of Sawubona. So glad that you are joining us this morning. I have a podcast, I have a video to send you. I can't wait to see how you respond to it. It's called More Deadly Than War. And so I'll send that to you as soon as I am able. But Music Soul Child writes this song, Love. And what he does is he takes the emotion that many of us have felt on some level, even as youngsters, even as in middle school and high school and college age students, as adults, as young adults, as older adults, as many felt in our bodies this emotion that we call love. And Music Soul Child has taken this emotion that he calls love, and he is now in dialogue with it. And he's talking to love as if he were able to have a conversation with it and to talk about the many ways in which he would like to invite love or embrace the love, this emotion that he's feeling. And he talks about it as, in some cases in the lyrics, he talks about it as if it's a cautionary tale. Like, I need to be careful with this emotion because when I begin to feel it in my body, it begins to swell up inside me. It changes me. It changes my outlook. It changes my perspective. It changes my thought process. It changes my decision making. It changes so much about me to the point that it also affects affects my relationship with other people. Because once they begin to see this change in me, once I begin to speak from this place of love, then people are experiencing me in a different way. And sometimes people don't appreciate it. I don't know about you, Tony, but have you ever been in a relationship where you sure enough was in love with somebody, but then somebody that you know was like, hey, and they were pushing back on the relationship, trying to tell you it wasn't a good relationship, trying to get you away from the person? Like, have you ever experienced that? Yeah, you say you in love, but.
Yes.
And so Music Soul Child is saying there are times when embracing this feeling, this emotion of love that has changed his entire life, that he has to begin to manage relationships in a different way. And he talks about how he wants to give himself over to love, but it's difficult to do. And it's because maybe you'll see me differently when I begin to embrace this love. And so I was thinking about this song. And I wasn't thinking about it in terms of romantic love between one or two people, or if you're polyamorous, however many people will be in your polycule. I was thinking about it in a different way. But one of the things at the Black Love events, both of them, when we were listening to primarily the voices of Black women, and even when we were listening to the voices of Black men, when it seems like whenever we say love, the word love, and in this case, we were talking about Black love, there's this tendency for us to automatically leap into the space of romantic love. Like whenever you say love, you must be talking about these feelings that you have one person or one, people to people, person to person, party to party. And so that the conversation begins to what did my godson say? Rainbows and butterflies makes you want to, take care, makes you want to open the door, those kinds of things. And I just wonder, like, is that when you hear love, when you talk about, and if I say the term Black love, do you automatically think, oh, we're talking about romantic love?
No, I think when I hear Black love, I'm thinking about the overall relationship that Black people have when it comes to how we treat each other, how we interact with each other, and how are we facilitating the uplifting of each other, and all of that is a part of love.
Yeah, I think that because I've been doing when I tell y'all I've been doing a lot of thinking about this since the last event, the last Black Love event. So much so that I was like, I don't even want to do this no more. But I've been talking to some people who have said, no, Denise, don't give up just yet. Don't give up just yet. So Music Soul Child's talking about how wonderful it feels in your body to love another person, how wonderful it feels to begin to open up and to see life through new eyes, to have this newness that you didn't even know that there were things that you were missing. This person gives you a whole new door to walk through. You can walk through this door as it relates to experiences with culinary experiences. They turn you on to foods you've never eaten before. They take you to places you've never been to before. They touch you in ways you've never felt before. And so this opportunity to have this relationship with this person in the name of love becomes so big and so overwhelming, it's hard to contain it. It reminds me of this verse that I've read before in this book that we call the Bible, where the psalmist is saying, I'm trying to understand this love, but I can't, it's too high. I can't attain it. I can't grasp it. I can't make meaning of it. I just know that it exists. I just know that it is, and I know that it's real because I feel it way down deep. So this kind of love that Music Soul Child is talking about in the romantic way, I was asking myself, can we push beyond that and begin to think about that love, that emotion in a way that's personified? So I want to turn this love emotion that Music Soul Child is talking about, I want to turn it into a person. I want us to not just be talking about a feeling that we have in our body, but a feeling that we have in our body when we see not just we're not just experiencing this emotion that's tied to romantic love, but can we experience this kind of overwhelming desire to want to be in relationship with you if we're talking about the Black collective, if we're talking about all of the members of the African diaspora? What would it feel like in our bodies if that kind of sensation that Musiq Soulchild is calling this emotion that is tied to romantic love, what if we tied it to loving ourselves as individuals, as collectives, in a term that I'm calling Black love? I'm naming it that to say that I want to be so overwhelmed, because there are some phrases that he says. At first, it didn't mean that much to me when I talked about love, but at first it didn't mean that much to me. And I had to underline that phrase in my journal, that sentence, because I had to stop and say, and I don't know if I've confessed this before or not, I have to confess that there were plenty of days in my life where I never thought about Blackness. I never thought about I never considered myself in my Blackness. I never thought about being Black. I didn't call myself Black. I didn't call myself a Black woman. I didn't think of it in those ways. I was raised and reared in a home where it was rooted in meritocracy. Meritocracy meaning if you do the best that you can do, good things will come to you. If you study hard, if you work hard, if you get an education, then you will automatically be successful, because that's the way the world works. The people that don't have, it's because they don't work hard enough. The people who lack, is because they're lazy. Like those are the messages that were sent to me. And so that's what I did. I put my head down and I went to school and I went to work, and I was doing all the things I felt like I was supposed to do. Lord knows I was in church all the time, trying to make sure that the tasks that were assigned to my hands, I made sure that I was doing them in the most effective way, because that was going to be the measure of success. Didn't have anything to do with anything else, not my race, not my gender, not my heritage, not my anything, and certainly not any systems of domination and oppression and exclusion and war. It was just me working hard. And when I saw somebody who did not have what I have, then I would say to them, shame on you, you ought to do a better job. That's the way that I was raised. And I don't mind making that confession, because I own who I am, and I'm grateful that I'm no longer that person. Is that part of your story? You grew up in a whole Black environment though, right? Like, did y'all talk about Blackness all the time? Like,
yes, we did. But we looked at it, I think I was brought up in this idea that yes, you're Black. Yes, there are things that you have to deal with. There are things that will come your way. Part of what you said was the same thing. Hey, you go to school, get you a degree, find your job and work and things that happen. But also, it was this idea that, you want to be looked at, and this is just from a male point of view, because this is what was said to me. You want to be a man. You want to have people look at you as just a man, not a Black man, not a white man, as a man, as a person. And that will, if that happens, then people will look past you'll be able to look past these systems. You'll be able to look past all this turmoil, all this other stuff, because now society will view you as a man.
and so the problem with that is when we think about Ralph Yarl, the 16-year-old who was shot in the head by the white man who Ralph Yarl knocked on his door. You know this story? Ralph Yarl was sent, as a 16-year-old, he was sent to pick up his siblings, and he was sent to 115th Terrace, but he went to 115th Street. And so he went to the wrong house looking for his siblings. And when he got to that home, he knocked on the door, and he rang the doorbell. Either way, he made his presence known, that I am here. I want you to know I'm here. And he waited for the person to open the door. It turns out that it was a white man, 84 years old. This is in Kansas City. And he opens up the door with a shotgun and he shoots him in the head. shoots him in the head, and hit his left forehead, and he shoots him in his arm. And he is now on the floor of this man's doorstep. He's there bleeding because he has been shot, and he's fighting. I would think if you've been shot in the head, you're fighting for your life. I will say that Ralph is now home, and so he's recovering at home. So he did not die from the incident, but he was almost killed. Ralph has enough wherewithal in his body to try to get some help. And so he goes to the neighbor's house to knock on the door, and he's bleeding, and the neighbor calls 911. And 911 says to the neighbor, no, don't offer any assistance because you don't know where the shooter is. The neighbor is like, wait a minute, he's bleeding. He's in my door. He's on my doorstep and he's bleeding. But the neighbor, the person on the 911 call says, no, leave him alone. You don't know where the shooter is. You go in the house, you stay in the house, even though he's bleeding outside your door. This is a 16-year-old Black young man who has been shot in the head because he dared to knock on the wrong door. One of the things that's interesting about this story is that when you listen to the news reports, one of the things that they say is, oh, he was a band member. He was a good student. So when we talk about this idea that I don't have to think about systems, I don't have to think about race, I don't have to think about sexism or any of the phobias, all I have to do is work hard. Here he is, 16 years old, working hard to be the student that people have told him he needs to be. He wants to do well in his academics, and he has a love for the arts. So he's just rocking on, doing all the things that people say are the right things to do. But yet, because of his Blackness, he ends up shot in the head because he goes to the wrong door. So this idea that we can take race off the table, this idea that race doesn't matter, that it's not about what you look like, and we continue to misuse and abuse this statement from Dr. King, it's not the color of your skin, but it's the content of your character. Then if that's the case, why was this 16-year-old shot? And then they say, well, this Black 16-year-old shot. And so some people were talking about, well, we want to use the stand your grounds defense in this case, because what the 84-year-old man is now saying is that he feared for his life. He didn't know who this was. He thought he was about to be robbed. And so he was scared for his life. And so he shot through the glass door, and he's looking because he can see the silhouette. I don't know if you have picked up the news and if you've watched the video, if you've seen this young man, he gotta be 100 pounds soaking wet. Gotta be 100 pounds, soaking wet 100 pounds. That's how thin he is. And he's 16. So imagine that. And so when we begin to take race off the table, we allow conversations to happen, and it keeps us from holding people accountable for what's really going on. And so when we talked about the president from about the president from the calendar, and he was saying that he was going to President William Howard Taft, he expelled this entire all black cavalry unit because they were protesting racial segregation. When we talk about this conversation from 1911, and we talk about how people don't want to talk about critical race theory, they don't want to have African American classes, they want to rewrite textbooks, because how dare you name things for what they are? It doesn't matter if this 16-year-old was a band student. It doesn't matter if he was a straight A student. It would not even matter if he made all F's. Because he showed up at this door, race was a component in how this white man responded to them, and we need to name it what it is. And the problem that's happening to me, and going back to what Music Soul Child says, he says, love. There are so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how, because there's a possibility that you'll look at me differently. And so when I say love, in this case, I'm talking about Black love, I'm talking to Black people, and say, there are some things, my love, my dearly beloved Black folks, all members of the African diaspora. There are some things that I want to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how, because it's possible that you're going to see me in a different way. It's not just possible, it happens. When I begin to challenge the way that we think about religion, when I begin to challenge the way that we are complicit in capitalism, when I begin to challenge the way that we are leaving our own neighborhoods in search for being more adjacent to white folks because we think that makes us better somehow, when I begin to talk about those things, now I'm viewed differently, and our relationship becomes threatened, because how dare I name it for what it is. But there are just some things that need to be called out in our midst. And Phyllis Brown, I told her the other day, I need you to stop sending me and I don't mean it really for her to stop, but there are some times that she sends me some information. It's not just Phyllis. I got a conversation. I'm in conversation with Cindy right now. I know it's my turn. She sent me a podcast, and I'm like, wait a minute, Cindy, what is this podcast? And so it's not just Phyllis, but when you all send me things and you want me to look into them, I go deep. And one of the things that I've gone deep into is this Arkansas Better Dads initiative. Are you aware of the Arkansas Better Dads program?
I've heard about it, but I haven't really researched it.
Let me get this caller. Caller, you're live on the air, KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling. Caller? Am I doing this? I can't hear you. Call us back. Want to hear what you have to say. But there's this Better Dads program that is an initiative by the Arkansas Workforce Services. It's in conjunction with TANF. So what Arkansas calls welfare.
T program.
You said what T program?
Yeah, that's what they, that's the short for the TANF program, but they call it T.
It's temporary assistance for needy families, is what it is, the TANF. TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. And the word that is used when you begin to research about it is welfare all the time. They say welfare all throughout. I haven't heard anybody refer to it as the T program, but I've seen the word welfare over and over and over again. And whenever in this country, when we're talking about the need to call things what they are, whenever we hear the word welfare, thanks to who is there, Ronald Reagan, who started talking about welfare queens. Maybe it started before that, but we have people, as soon as you say welfare, a black face appears in your head. And so if I say to you that this is a program, it's temporary assistance for needy families, and I say to you that it's welfare, the first thing that pops up is that, oh, this must be for Black folks, because we believe, because we've been programmed to believe, there's a myth that it's mostly Black folks who are on these social programs. It's mostly Black folks who are on welfare. But when you look at the numbers, it's more white people than Black people, and that has to do with population, but still, it's a fact. It's more white people, but that's not the way that it's portrayed for us, right? And so this program is talking about how to make, and so if that's your image, if that is your image, that this is a program that's for temporary assistance for needy families, and it's welfare, so this is going to be Black folks, and I tell you that it's about better dads, making dads better, then what is the assumption that you make? That there must be something wrong with the way that Black men are fathering their children. Can you see that link? Like if I say to you that this is temporary assistance for needy families, it's welfare, so I think that's Black folks, and we're talking about making better dads. If you need to be a better dad, then one way of thinking of it is that, maybe there's something that you need that you aren't doing right. Now, there's an argument that you can say, well, Denise, don't we all want to be better? I would say yes to that if I had not continued to do the research into this initiative. Let me get this caller. What am I supposed to do? Caller, you are live on the air, KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. That's the one thing, how do we reconcile love and the promotion of anti-whiteness, which may wind up becoming a federally regulated hate crime? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Mm-hmm. And so when I began to look more deeply into this Better Dads, Arkansas Better Dads, there are some resources. And if you want to follow the line of thinking, because you don't have to, this is up for your consideration, that we're talking about Black men becoming better dads. And then they were offering some resources. So here are some resources for you that will help you become a better dad. And there were 7 books that were offered for you to help you become a better dad. And the first, I don't remember the number of them, but out of the 7 books, there's only one book. There's one book that has 2 authors, and one of those authors is a Black man, but the lead author on the book is a white woman. There's another book that is by a Black man, solely by a Black man, and he is a member of Focus on the Family. Have you ever heard of Focus on the Family? Do you know anything about Focus on the Family that you want to share with us? Or
it's a religious Christian organization. I'm trying to think of the person who runs it. I can't think of his name, but it's basically a white religious organization that talks about, I said focus on. It talks about how to build better families.
Right. So it's everything is done by the power of the Holy Spirit through Jesus Christ. We believe that it is our purpose to be evangelists, that we are to go out and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, empowered by the Holy Spirit, to make sure that we focus on the family, that it is important to know that marriage is between a man and a woman only. It is important to know that conception is the beginning of life, and so it's anti-abortion. And so it's all of those things. And so all of these resources, there's 7 of them, and only one of them is about a Black man, but he is part of this organization that is white and religious and Christian and Republican. It touts the Republican agenda. And then you have the other Black man who's co-authoring what it means to be a better dad with a white woman. Like, all of this, I think, is important for us to talk about and to think about when we say that we're going to root our conversation in what it means to love. And if we're talking about loving the Black collective, all members of the African diaspora, and we say, well, yes, I want to be better. I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. Where do I turn for help with that? And then you say, well, there's an initiative called the Arkansas Better Dads, but it's white men. So how do white people help you become a better dad? If you're going to say, if you want to live in a world where race doesn't matter, how can you take race off the table, especially in the face of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl being killed by this white man?
I think one of the issues, one of the problems that has happened, and I think white people, the system has, in a way, it has seen some of the issues that have been caused, especially when it comes to Black people. And instead of meeting the challenge head on, I think they're trying to come up with these programs, these ideas or whatever, that from the fringes that will help facilitate and help change things. When you talk about better dads, there is this, and like I said, I haven't did the research on it, but there are so many people. In fact, there was a football player who said that one of the problems with the Black family is that the Black man is not there. There's this idea because Black men are not, in the house, or the reason that there are young Black males or young Black men creating and doing so many other things, because there's no Black male father figure. And so instead of meeting the challenge head on and say, the reason is because of all these different systems you have put in place to destroy Black men. It's not that Black men need to, we're going to help make you a better dad, and because we realize you can't be a good dad unless we help you. And it goes back to this idea that the only way for Black people to get anywhere is that you have to have help from whiteness, instead of just saying, hey, you know what? If you just leave us alone and give us the resources that are ours, then we know how to build our families. We know, as Black men, we know how to be fathers. We can learn. It's there. You're saying it's not there. You're saying that we need this help, but in reality, the only help we need is for you to leave us alone.
And so they talk about one of the reasons why this is an initiative that is important is because Black men have been, not just Black, they're not talking about Black men, they're talking about men, that men have been left out of the welfare system, that it's a focus on helping single mothers who are in need of assistance. And again, what we don't talk about, because when we begin to raise these issues, we have people like the caller, we're raising the issue about what it means to live as Black in this world. And now when we center Blackness and we talk about the impact of this world and these systems on Black folks, now you say that we're being anti-white. No, actually what we're doing is we're naming it for what it is, and we are centering the Black story because we will not allow for it to continue to be erased. So that's what's really happening. And so when we begin to have these conversations about them saying that the men have been left out of the system, then we have to go back and say, but that's because your policy made it impossible for men to be a part of the system. So when Black men and Black women were trying to come together as they were struggling and saying we need some assistance, the system said, oh no, you cannot have a Black man in your home. And we're talking about Blackness. You cannot have a Black man in your home and receive assistance. So you force the man out of the home, and now you say we need to have a program for you because your Black men are not in the home. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Listen, what you are talking about being good men, good fathers. I think you can find that on 99.5 FM. It's been coming on several years. I've been listening to it, and I'm gonna say this. God gave Adam the golden keys to the Garden of Eden, and he dropped the ball. So I'm just saying, whether you Black, white, brown, or what, yes, men's supposed to lead the way. Thank you.
Okay, Colin. So then let me read some of these statistics based on what you were talking about. So here are some statistics that the Arkansas Better Dads, they're using to help support the need for their initiative. So it says 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of children that exhibit behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes. 85% of all youth sitting in prison grew up in fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from fatherless homes. And so it sounds like fathers are really, that's what it sounds like to me. Maybe that's not what you hear, but that's what it sounds like to me. But if that's the case, that all of these problems are because there are no fathers in the homes, then why you got so many fathers locked up for nonviolent crimes? Right? Why do you have so many fathers that you will, because I know part of some Black men's stories is that they try to care for their children and the system won't even let them. Right. And so we cannot have these kinds of conversations about what you need to be doing better if we're not going to attack the systems that keep us from being better.
And let's face it, just listen to those statistics and so what we do, what a lot of times happens, we cherry pick these statistics. We hear certain statistics and we're like, oh yeah. But nothing is created where it says that, it may be framed that this is going to help Black men, Black fathers. It may be framed that way, but that's not why it's created. It's created to help white.
Absolutely. And until we figure that out.
Yeah.
And so if we put this face on this on fatherlessness, if we put this face on this face of Blackness on this initiative that says we need better dads, then Black people are going to say, hey, here's a system that can help you. But once you get entangled in that system, it is not going to help. This is not designed for you. It is a lure. It's a lure to bring you in, yes, so that they can say all of these good things, but it is going to hurt you in the end, because you are absolutely right. No system that is created was created with the Black person in mind.
No.
That is not why the system is created. And now, because many of us say, well, I'm going to take advantage of the system. No. You're going to get taken advantage of by the system. That's what's going to happen. Let me get this caller. Caller, you're live on the air, KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling. Okay, sorry, caller, trying to work this out. So here's what Cindy says. She was listening to those statistics. Yep, those are the results, not the cause. Let's go to the root. Right. And so if we're going to go to the root, then we have to go to the system. But what I'm trying to say to us this morning, using Music Soul Child and talking about love and this overwhelming emotion, if we will personify it so that this overwhelming emotion is not about romantic love, it's not about making my body feel good in a sensory way so that I can be aroused sexually, or it's not about any of those things. It's about being so overwhelmed with my love of self in my Black skin and my love of the Black collective that we realize that from these systems, we have to divest. We have to begin to say, if I'm going to be free, if I'm going to be liberated, I cannot be a part of any system. Whiteness keeps telling us that you're only able because we allow you. I think you said it earlier. The only way that you can be your best is if we help you be your best. Like, you cannot be your best on your own. You can't figure it out by yourself. You can't teach your own children. You can't have your own banks. You can't do anything unless we let you. Even when they talked about after we voted, the people, not just Black people, the people voted for former President Obama. What did they say? We let you have a Black president.
It goes back to...
Hold on. So let me see if I can get this caller. Caller, you're live on the air, KBF 88.3.
Yes, peace and love to all, Brother Sullivan. Now, when it comes to love, I think what we are suffering from is the lack thereof. And when I say the lack thereof, in the system of white supremacy, racism, which is an incorrect system that promotes injustice, and that's what we get a lot of injustice in a criminal system. Most of us have become agents of the criminal system. And when I say the lack thereof in a criminal system, we know we are really lacking love. And when I say lacking, some things we have to be taught, and what we have been taught is miscorrect. It's not correct. So if we were taught the correct ways to love, which goes back to the critical race theory and everything else that they teach us in this criminal system, what we have to really focus on is eliminating the system that teach us all these criminal and want us to be their criminal agents. And I'm watching the time too. Peace and love to all, but what we're hearing from is the word love, the lack of love. Peace and love.
And I agree with that, which is what goes back to what Music Soul Child says. He says, at first you didn't mean that much to me. When I think about loving myself, when I think about loving my Black, it didn't mean anything to me. And so now what we're trying to do in this space in particular is to wake us up to the importance of love. Yes, we're suffering from a lack of love. And one of the reasons why is because we are invested into these kinds of systems. How whiteness gonna tell you how to be the best Black father you can be? How is that possible? And then it's coming through a program, and it says it's temporary assistance for needy families. And then your governor has just slashed the program in half, because it used to be that you can stay on there for 2 years, but now you can only stay on there for 1 year. And then you got to beg her to let you keep your benefits, but you're going to spend all your time trying to do the work to keep your benefits. That's time away from your children. And so I can't be with my children because I'm trying to beg you for some benefits so you can tell me I'm not a good parent. how I'm gonna be a good parent. And why would I even allow the system of whiteness to tell me what kind of parent I am, period? I don't need you to tell me who I am. I don't need your affirmation, your confirmation, your validation. All I need are the resources that are rightfully mine, and to be, what you say, Tommy, left alone. I know you wanted to say something. It's 10 o'clock. Somebody calling on the phone. You got the girl Lola in the house. I'm so sorry. The time is up. We are the community voices. That's what you've been listening to right here at KBF 88.3 FM. But now for the next 2 hours, you got your girl Lola on the mic with all the jazz that you can stand. And it's going to give you that same feeling that Music Soul Child is talking about. The love is going to be so full within you. You ain't going to know what to do with it all as you are listening to this music. But I hope it inspires you to affect change in some way and to figure out how you can divest, how you can stop being complicit in these systems that were not designed to help us at all. We've got to make some better choices. And I love you. That's why I said it. And I hope to see you soon. We'll be right back here on Thursday for the workplace. You're good. Hallelujah.